In the figure at the bottom, I've drawn a digital scale that measures force, and on top of that scale I've placed an insulating rod, and attached to the top of that insulating rod is a conducting sphere. And the question that I would like to try to answer is what will happen to the force reading on that scale if a charged rod is brought near the conductor. This problem might look something like this. After placing the sphere and the rod on top of the scale will read some force, and you could record that measurement. And then you would take a rod, and you would give that rod some charge. And maybe, for example, you give that rod a net negative charge. And you would bring that negatively charged rod toward the sphere, and then observe what happens to the force reading. The force reading could either increase or decrease or remain the same. In order to understand what is happening in both cases, I'm going to draw a free body diagram for the conducting sphere before the rod is nearby and while the rod is nearby. I would encourage you to try pausing the video now to see if you can determine whether the force will increase, decrease, or remain the same when the rod is brought nearby. So I'm going to start with the free body diagram for the conducting sphere when the rod is not nearby. So the red dot that I'm going to draw will represent the conducting sphere when the rod is not nearby. Without the rod nearby, the conducting sphere experiences two forces. One of those forces is the gravitational interaction between the conducting sphere and Earth, and that is a gravitational force that points downward. I'll label that gravitational force Fg. The other force that the conducting sphere experiences is due to the fact that the conducting sphere is resting on that insulating rod. Instead of falling down to the ground, the insulating rod pushes up on the sphere, causing it to experience what I'll call a normal force pointing up. And I'll label that force Fn. And these two forces are equal and opposite because the conducting sphere is not accelerating in that vertical direction. And because those are the only two forces that the sphere experiences in that vertical direction, they must be equal. Now let's look at what happens when we bring the charged rod nearby. Let's draw the second free body diagram. First, I would like to point out one thing, and that is I'm intending for the conducting sphere to be neutral. And so when the charged rod is brought nearby, I also want to stipulate that there's no exchange of charge between the two objects. The first thing that I'll say for this new free body diagram is that we should expect the gravitational force exerted on the sphere to be the exact same. And that's because the gravitational force exerted on the sphere depends on the mass of the sphere and the mass of the Earth, and neither one of those things are changing, and so the gravitational force should be the exact same. It turns out, however, that the normal force that the conducting sphere experiences does change when the charged rod is brought nearby. So let's take a look at why that might be and how it changes. So here I'm just drawing the same sphere and the same charged rod over again. When that negatively charged rod is brought nearby, we must understand that inside the conducting sphere there are free electrons that are able to move from one side of the sphere to the other if they experience an electric force. And so these electrons, which have the same charge as the charged rod, would feel a repulsive electric force and would therefore move towards the bottom of the sphere. And of course, the amount of negative charge that moves towards the bottom of the sphere would depend on the magnitude of the charge on the rod. But nevertheless, some of that negative charge would move towards the bottom of the sphere. And even though there hasn't been any movement of positive charge, by the fact that some of the negative charge has gone towards the bottom of the sphere, the top of the sphere will become positively charged. And what the rod is doing to the sphere is it is causing the conducting sphere to become polarized. We are inducing a charge in the sphere without actually touching it. And so what happens when there becomes that separation of charge inside the conducting sphere? One may be led to think that the electrons rushing down towards the bottom of the sphere would cause the force reading to increase, because those electrons would be essentially pushing down on the sphere, which would push down on the scale. But instead what happens is the exact opposite. I hope you've already been introduced to Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law says that for 2 point charges, the electric force between those 2 point charges is given by K Q1 Q2 over R squared, where K is Coulomb's constant, Q1 and Q2 are the magnitudes of the 2 charges that you're considering, and R is the distance between those 2 point charges. And this equation tells us what the magnitude of the electric force would be. And so what we see in this equation is that there's a relationship between electric force and the separation between charge. When the distance between 2 charges doubles, the electric force between those 2 charges is 1/4 of what it was originally. Now, Coulomb's law applies for point charges, and in this problem I'm not dealing with a point charge. I have a conducting sphere and a rod, but this relationship still can help us understand what's happening here. Let's look at the separation between the positive charge left behind on the top of the sphere and the charged rod. And let's say that it's separated by a distance r. And let's say that the separation between the negative charge that was pushed towards the bottom of the sphere and the charged rod is 2r. And even though this might not quantitatively make much sense, the fact that the negative charge on the rod and the negative charge that was pushed towards the bottom of the sphere are separated by a greater distance, the electric force of repulsion between those two will be smaller than the electric attractive force between the positive charge at the top of the sphere and the rod. And so we could think of this interaction as being 2 separate electric forces. This would be an oversimplification, but I think it helps. And so what we could do is we could think of this as being 2 separate forces. One force of attraction that points towards the top of the screen, that is due to the positive charge being attracted to the rod, and one force of repulsion which points towards the bottom of the screen, F minus, which is smaller in magnitude than that attractive force pointing up. And so the sum of those 2 forces leads to an upwards electric force on the conducting sphere. And so in my diagram, I should draw an upwards electric force on that free body diagram. Now, the insulating rod is still pushing up on the sphere, but not as much. I still know that the conducting sphere is not going to accelerate up or down, and for that reason the upwards forces and the downwards forces should add up to be equal and opposite. And for that reason I should take a look at that electric force that I've drawn and add a normal force to the diagram such that when I combine those 2 upwards forces, I have a force that is equal to that force of gravity pointing downwards. And now we have enough information to answer the question. In the case that the rod is brought nearby, the electric force exerted on that sphere is upwards. And because the sphere is not pushing down on the scale as much as it was before, then the scale will not push up on the sphere as much as it was before. And the force that the scale reads is that normal force, the force that it has to exert on the sphere and rod in order to hold it up. And so we observe a decrease in the force reading when the charged rod is brought nearby. And some of you might be wondering, well, does the same thing happen when we bring a positively charged rod nearby? Surely if the force reading decreases for a negatively charged rod, the force reading will increase for a positively charged rod. And so let's quickly look at the case where we have a positively charged rod. In the event that we have a positively charged rod, we can use the same sort of analysis to understand what's going on. Let's call the charged rod positive. And now what would happen to those free electrons in the conductor? In this case, those electrons would be attracted to the charged rod and would therefore want to move towards the top of the sphere. And because of that, some positive charge would be left on the bottom of the sphere. And just like before, the attractive force upwards would be greater than the repulsive force downwards, and this would result in a net upwards electric force on the conducting sphere. And so the same two free body diagrams would apply, and the force reading would still decrease. This experiment can be very useful for trying to demonstrate the relationships in Coulomb's law. If you have a way to charge a rod and have any sort of a conducting object, just anything with some free electrons that will move around that you can set on a scale, then you can demonstrate that an electric force is proportional to the charge of the object that you bring near the sphere. If you rub the object more, you can assume that more charge will be on the rod, and so when you bring it by, it will cause more charge to move down, and the net force on the conductor will be different, and you'll get a larger change in the force reading. You could also show the inverse relationship between electric force and charge separation by taking the charged rod and slowly approaching the conducting sphere with the rod. You would see that the rod does cause the force reading to decrease, but as you bring the rod closer, the force would decrease and decrease by more and more. You may not be able to show precisely that it's 1 over r squared, but you could at least show that there's an inverse relationship between those two quantities.